To all. My name is Rajasekharan. I have a background of about 33 years in sales and marketing and branding in pharmaceutical industry, in Ayurveda, as well as in hospital administration and marketing and management of hospitals. So here, I thought as a beginning, let's just start with, when we talk about marketing, what are the two, three uh, terms that we come to face almost every day. But then, we're not too sure whether we really understand what these terms are, or, they are a bit misunderstood, or they are mixed up with one another. So we basically talking about three simple terms. One is marketing, which everyone talks about, sales, which I think the whole world talks about because that is what brings the revenue. And then, with branding, where there are some people who talk about it, but there are a bit of understanding, a lot of misconceptions. So I thought, let's first clear these three simple words. And to make it more simple, of course, it's more important that we take an analogy. And when we look at, for example, the one of the first things that human mankind did, after being a hunter and then subsequently cooking his own food, was to actually do agriculture, which is one of the oldest, methods by which humans cultivated their own food. So if you look at farming as such, and then you think about how is it connected to sales, marketing, and branding. So what would actually come across is that when you're looking at sales, sales is harvesting whatever you sow. So many a time without sowing also you can harvest. Like you go to a forest and you start plucking fruits from the trees, that is a harvest, right? Or a Lord has already put a lot of grain on the ground through natural processes, you can harvest that. And that harvest, also gives you food, also gives you revenue. So if you want to call a harvest what you get as food or as revenue, both are okay. So you can do it without doing anything, you can just do it. But after one season, after two seasons, and after probably even three seasons, there's not much, nothing much to harvest if you have not actually toiled on the soil or looked after your crop or looked after the trees or forests which God has given you naturally. So that tilling of the soil, and making the trees more productive, or getting better fruits, or ensuring a continuous production of fruits is what is the role of marketing. So if soil is marketing and sales is the harvest, then what is branding? So if you look at branding, branding is creating the perception. Now in farming, we have moved from simple farming to we call farmers villagers, and in villages it happens. Now we have gone to high tech, organic farming. Now what is organic farming all about? Organic farming is all about, in a simple terms, justifying a very highly priced product. Okay. So if you look at any product that is called organically farmed, originally there was only organic farming, but now it is called organic farming, and that is branding, where the reputation of the particular farm, the soil, the GI tag, and the lack of utilization of fertilizers, chemical fertilizers, using only natural substances, all these things. And today even have a concept where you can trace every single product to its source, and you get a certificate which is so highly valued, and the product that is the end result of that is charged a premium which is 100 times the actual cost of a product which otherwise does not have the tag. So what are we talking about? We're talking about branding. So in this branding, we say that you can actually find out key, go back to the end product, which might be as simple as a dosa, right? So this dosa came from which particular country is a very simple thing to understand. Then from which state in the country is again very simple to understand. And then further from which district is also very, is relatively easier. But to find out from which farm exactly is what is the backtracking that is done. And then, how does the farm grow the crop, and consistently use the same method so that the source or the raw material remains the same and gives you the same quality over a period of time is what is built in. And this is called branding, right? You call it organic, you want to call it Guntur chili if you want to, or you want to call it a coconut from Kerala, or a rice from my own hometown, Palakkad, which is called Navara from Palakkad, and you get black rice also from Palakkad. So all these things command a huge premium, and it is not easy to make, right? So it is difficult to make, but the premium can be charged provided the branding is done properly. So once again, coming to agricultural analogy and coming back to marketing. So you brand the whole company, the organization, right? What does it stand for? What does it stand for consistently? What does it deliver on a consistent basis is what people look at as branding. I'm sure you think of the big brand names of the world. Nike, something comes to your mind. Adidas, something comes to your mind. The country behind it or the whatever. So these are all the branding that happens. And then you market the features of the product, the benefit of the product, and then you convert it into sales, right? So this is a three different processes. So you have to follow it in a sequence or all parallelly, and that is when the results start coming in. Many a time in small manufacturing enterprises, we reach a certain phase where we have manufactured for another person, which is called third-party manufacturing. And then we look at, what are the kind of premiums they're charging in the market for the end product once they just go and sell it in the customer. And, they do the branding, they do the marketing, and whatever is the value addition that is done to the product there in terms of branding, marketing is what they reap as sales. So many times as small manufacturing enterprises, we start thinking that why don't we do this ourselves? And a lot of times, not always, but many times, the first thing we do is we hire 2-3 people to promote the product, right? Then when we go to promote the product, the first thing that comes to your mind is, what should I do? So let's say I'll start small. So, so first thing that comes to mind, of course, is what is the amount of money I need to put into this? So the simplest thing seems to be, that we are making this product anyway. And so first thing we do, we register a brand name, right? And after we register a brand name, we hire 1 or 2 people who are called marketing team, sales team, either of the two or both. And then we give the product to them and say, you go and sell it in the market. It's very simple, For example, if it's a pharmaceutical product, it's a no-brainer. You need to go to a doctor, right? So if it is a cardiac product, you need to go to a cardiologist, you need to go to a physician, and you need to just promote it to them and sell it. So this is pure sales without anything, right? Now, when you go there, then the question comes, Acha, you come with this product. So, so who manufactures it, right? From that question onwards, what starts is marketing. What should have already started is branding. If the branding had been proper, the doctor would have been aware about the organization. So there are so many companies, for instance, who do not market their products in our country. I'm sure all of us might have heard of companies like Divi's Labs. If Divi's Labs were today to go into marketing and sales, they would have had an easy run because they're very well known in the share market, probably India's number 3 in terms of volumes, right? But they've never marketed their product as their own in the market. But there are a lot of people who are buying from them abroad. So quality is given, the company's branding is all done. So you only need to now find out, how to make the soil, prepare the soil, which means is the marketing inputs have to be in there, identification of the right customer, all these things comes within marketing. Not